We had many kids that wanted to play, but and finally some fathers. I think some of the key ones were Hans Martinall, who was a local restaurant owner in town, and Bill Golden from Golden Shoes, his dad. And so they wanted to start a football program, and they went and bought the equipment from, I think it was, I'm almost sure it was Lake City, and they started a practice, and they hired a coach who was a master plumber and a math teacher at St. Francis, Dale Wares, and then a local cleaning man that had a dry cleaning shop in Traverse City, and it was Jack Bensley, and then Tim Bricks, the Tim Brick from Brick Wheels. His dad was going to be the JV coach. So I guess in the 7th and 8th grade is when I first was introduced to football, and it was a place where you could excel in and have a lot of fun, and your buddies were with you. And I remember the first game, or the first season they had. It was a 4-game season. Very exciting. I remember my dad took me down. My dad was not a sports fan. He was more of a worker type guy, and so he knew how much I liked sports, and he gave me an ultimatum when I was a freshman that if I wanted to play sports, I had to go in at 4 o'clock. We owned a bakery, and I had to go in and get the orders up and deliver them. We had three stores in Traverse City, and I had to deliver them and set them in the cases, and then I could go to school, and that way, after work I had practice. First time we went down to Ludington, I think the score was 6-0, and then at the end of the season we went down there, and the field is located same place where it is now, and it was located about a block away from Lake Michigan. And I remember it started raining, and it was just blowing and blowing and blowing, and many of our people know Skeets Bramer or Art Bramer. He was our kicker, and I remember him laying the ball on the side and doing what they call a barrel kick, and he came up and kicked it, and it went about 15 yards right straight up, and it came right on back down to St. Francis, and we got the ball and went in and scored, and that was our first victory as a high school football team. Well, it's really funny because Wares he was a smoker, and so it was not uncommon to see him on the sideline with a cigarette in his mouth calling plays. And Bensley, he was a cigar smoker, so he was down on the other side with a left hand with a big cigar in his mouth. And of course, Coach Brick, he coached the JVs and helped out on the varsity game nights, and so he didn't smoke, but he had a lot of voiceful demands, and it was fun getting into seeing those three, and they went, for years they were still coaching, and we had great teams back there. But it was fun, and we played we either ran a T full house or we ran a single wing, they called it, and we'd line up in a T, and then we would shift, and it was kind of a little dance to your position. So everyone said, "Oh, you must have been a quarterback. You threw the passes." Well, I did throw. I played halfback too. So I graduated in '59. I started coaching the fall of '59. I first got my first job. I graduated in June, and in September, Mike Kennett Sr. Had taken over the football program, and also was the athletic director, and he wanted to know if I could help him out. And I coached freshman football in my early years, and just a great person. Mechanics was, and he got things rolling, and it was awesome having him. I think in the early '60s and mid '60s, we had 5 different coaches in 5 years. There was kind of a time when we went through, and we just couldn't get satisfied. Art Hagee, he was a great big guy. He was a lineman, and he coached at Ohio State, and he was kind of a wild guy. There was so many stories I could tell that we can't print on there. St. Ignace was on our schedule, and so we played them the last game of the year, and Art came to me and he said, I want you to take all the lights out of the locker room except for this one 25-watt bulb. And he said, put that in that corner socket. And I said, okay. And he said, and open all the windows up, he said, and the doors. And he said, and this was, there was 4 or 5 inches of snow on the ground. And so then about 20 minutes later, their coach come up to me and he said, hey, you think we can get some light bulbs in the locker room? And, well, that was Hagee's last year that he was there. I remember my first big game was about the 3rd year I started coaching, and I remember I was all alone. I was the only coach for 40 kids, but we had great kids, and they were really worked hard, and we had two groups. I split them in half were defense, half were offense. We were in a conference here on Shores, and that was with St. Ignace and Petoskey and Charlevoix, and I remember we just went in there and just waxed every team we played. And then we got the Muskegon Catholic crews started moving in, and Waldo Keating was on there, and Waldo took over, and he just wanted to get things started and put in the system. And then Larry moved up the year after Waldo, and then there's Jerry Allure, and then Ralph Bradley, and these were all teachers that had lived and coached at Muskegon Catholic Central, and so they came up and got our program on, to where it is today. We're still running the offense, and defensively, we really didn't practice defense that much. In fact, we used to kid because whenever when we were on the bus, we'd line up and we'd stop for a break where the kids could stretch. We would get out our defense and show them where to line up, and we only played two defenses. We were either 5-3 or we were 6-2, and so that's what we ran, and up until probably about 15 years ago, and we hired probably one of the best defensive coordinators, Joe Falenza, and does a super job on defense, and there's not very many teams that outsmart Joe. So. Well, I've been there for quite a few years, and so I'm just happy to be there, and teaching the same things. Teaching how to block right, getting along with one another. We have, about 35 kids on the team now. And, those, you got to bring those, if you're going to win 500 games, or if you're going to win 8, and, it's kids united and coaches united. And it's just a matter of getting your kids ready, and fortunately we have we have probably 8 or 9 on the JVs coaches, and 7 or 8 on the varsity coaches, and we met this morning for 3 hours going over a game film and going over our opponent's film, and that's what it's all about, guys working together, and guys loving one another, and just love to get out there and play football and represent St. Francis. It's a lot. It's a lot of victories, but we teach the kids the right way, and we teach them the fundamentals. it's St. Francis football. A great experience, great kids, smart kids. You know, we do academic checks every week with your kids, and you have 5 or 6 kids that you're kind of in charge of, and you see what they do and what they're doing in their academics and their goals as family goals and goals as football goals. And it's very, very, very interesting to be able to sit down with these young men and listen to, you know, what their goals are, and we discuss it, and I said, well, what's your GPA? Well, 3.85 and 3.75. Our Josh Sellers, our coach now, is very just strict and teaching these kids, you know, it's family, God, academics, and football, and that's the way it's been, and that's the way I'm sure that he'll keep it. So we're, you know, it's exciting being with those young kids. Uh, People who help our program. You know, we have great people. We have great support. You know, I remember when we first started. Actually, when Larry and Waldo were there, so early '70s. You know, I had a mother come up and said, you know, I'd like to know a little bit more about football, and so I went to Larry and said, you know, a couple people have been interested in, and I said, and the funny thing is, I said, it's mostly women. And to our surprise, we had like 25 women come in on Wednesday night, and we would go over, this is the football, and these are the officials, and the one with the white hat's in charge, you know, and now it's the women that do everything, you know. They're the ones that, you know, they feed us. We have to actually had to cut back because we were getting too much food. Because whenever we'd watch a film, then they would fix dinner and bring dinner into us. And we still have our weekly spaghetti dinner, and which is really great because it kind of, you know, the kids, the boys and coaches and everyone, they kind of get together, you know, with these women bring out all this great food and their husbands. But you know, it's just a community thing that everyone knows. If you're gonna make it work, you gotta be together, and so that's you know, awesome. Uh, I would be too emotional. Great women, great women, and you know, it's funny because you know, we have a mixture of young coaches and old coaches, and of course the old coaches on Thursday nights we go watch the other opponent. The young coaches say, "Well, we have to watch our kids," so they can't. But you know, it's great to have a staff that we have that get along, and of course, my wife is very special. Um, she is there for me all the time. You know, she's a super gal, and you know, she brought up our kids so I could go coach, and I love her very much. It was awesome.